Okay, we have one last halacha in Tavkuf Yudalid, and Hamadlik ner shel Yom Tov tzorich levorach asher kiddushanu b'mitzvos v'tzivanu lahadik ner shel Yom Tov. Okay, I don't think that's a halacha that needs much explanation. Shadlokas ner b'Yom Tov gam ken mitzvah kemo b'Shabbos. It's a mitzvah just like on Shabbos. V'mchal Shabbos Omer shel Shabbos v'shel Yom Tov. V'Yom Tov shel Golis tzorich levorach. You have to make a bracha and all these things. Okay. Now the next halacha is a fascinating. We're going to learn a bir halacha, which is a little bit long. I'm going to I don't know how much I should do inside, but the subject is as follows: a goy is not allowed to do a malacha for a Jew on Shabbos or Yom Tov. A goy is allowed to do a malacha for himself on Shabbos or Yom Tov, right? Not only that, ger sheshavas is chayv misa, right? It's not Gesher Shabbos. If you would live in Yerushalayim on Motzei Pesach, from 15 minutes after Shkia, on every intersection, there's Arabs selling these, I don't know what you call those, like these long circular breads, you know? Yeah, but what it has a kind of a name.
It's not a bagel.
It looks like a bagel, like
oversized.
Yeah, a massive thing. And this is what they sell, and there are people buying them like hotcakes. Now, is it permissible to buy those on Motzei Pesach?
Yes.
Why?
Because you don't have to worry about Pesach, anything like that. But wait a second.
You made it specifically for
you had to baked it on Yom Tov.
We had it in Chicago.
So maybe it's not.
Are you arguing with yourself?
Yes.
Okay, I just want. Okay.
You know, if maybe it was half an hour. Or
Well, I would say, what would you say if I said I agree with you? I'm not sure if you're the first you or the second you.
So we had it in Chicago. The first year they made Dunkin' Donuts
Kosher. Yeah.
So after Pesach, they got bought out in like 2 minutes. So the next year, they got ready for it.
Yeah.
And then they told people, you can't buy it.
Okay, so this is exactly the subject which we're going to discuss. The Mishnah Berurah is extremely strong that you cannot buy in the Dunkin' Donuts in Chicago on Motzei Pesach. Yeah, Achidesh Yasu. And we're going to see that there are those who disagree. What does it depend on? If you would go to a store in mid-America and buy something on Motzei Pesach, that's 100% okay. Who did they make it for? Their customers, right? Most of their customers are Goyim. But the Dunkin' Donuts in Rogers Park, their customers are all Jews, right? And so they made it for the Jew. So this is the question, if this is true or not.
That year they did, because they have other customers too. They made it because they knew the Jews were going to come.
Right. Okay. Okay. So this is the subject. Let's see the bir halacha. Hu adin limkor. It doesn't have to be just bought a present, even if they wanted to sell it. V'chei muchal me'asugya. Okay, Kadesh Yochli Yisrael b'Yom Tov. V'sham Mari Rak Le'yin Tchum. Kol Shekem B'Oisa Mocha Gemura B'Shil Yisrael. V'chem Avur B'Beis Yosef. V'shem Ba'alachas Gedoles. D'Daran Lav Dafka Hu Adin B'Oisa Kedei Limchor. V'ayin Sham Le'inyin Kemach. Okay, Mishnah Berurah Shesiv Machshir V'Huva V'Ran. D'Yerek HaNimcha B'Ir Sheruba Yisrael. Also Likach B'Erev Ad Kadesh Yasu. You're not allowed to buy a vegetable in a city that most of the people there are Jews until Kadesh Yasu. V'chein is bor b'sim zayin. V'chein mevor b'shulchanoch v'achroinim to Yin Kemach. V'kol zel afuki midas chai yodam. We are in Tov Kuf Tes Vav Bir Halacha Dorin Yisrael. All this is to refute that which the Chai Yodam says. Shemeka b'mischira. he's mekel by mechira. Why? Misvara da'adaiti denavshe ose lohoitzi zemi mogen Avrohom b'din ketzitza. That the guy who he's selling it, why is he selling it? He couldn't care less about you. He could drop dead. He wants to make money on you, right? So that's called, he's doing it adaita denafshe. Adaita denafshe means he's doing it for himself. V'iyaf shalaymer king. The Mishnah Berurah disagrees with that premise. The kivon sha'osu b'shil sheyeheni yisrael b'yom tov aser. Since he did it expressly so that a Jew should benefit, then it's aser. V'hadim avur by Shabbos. Im osa menalayim ala mekach muter likrasen b'Shabbos al kor chol tzarich leimar b'shem dahainu b'ir sherua akum dafka. That most of your customers are goyim. The eino oisa b'shil Yisrael. V'chayadam diktek, and the chayadam was medaktik l'oshen ha'magon shkasa the masher dafka doyer avum oisa b'chinam rak l'Yisrael kotzas loim boys. V'dai came dafka b'chinam v'hu misvara l'charet the ma yesh li oisa b'shilim kor l'kachas d'meim oisa b'shil l'hashem pulos kotzas Yisrael. Ava ba'al korchot tzach l'chalet ha'magon dafka b'kotzas mekel v'hu de b'kotzas einaf kavisa klal v'akam mosa yagil yad Yisrael because he's doing his job. That's his main objective. He wants it to go to a Jew. Now here is the most important line. If a guy you say want you to pay to turn on the light for me, you can't do that. Okay? Be'ikar hadin af bekotzatz gufa mitzad amogen lahater. Medaber ze gufa maybe amogen avon siata v'hu be'amor l'chai v'ravon de'ukmi be'uvda de'yilfu mar be'ktzitz shekotzu achambonim in ha'akum. Okay, dim came out of the Kabarshas kol she'edaden. Okay. Let's get to the bottom line. Because you did it for the Jew. It does that you did it. It's true. You did it. So you got the money, but you still did it for the Jew.
The Maisi did for the Jew.
Right. If I am going to tell the Jew, the guy, if you turn on my light, I'm going to give you money. Is he allowed to do that?
He's turning the light on for you, even though he's doing it for his own desires. But he's doing this Maisa Isser for you to enjoy.
Right. Okay. Avul Moisa B'Shil She'Hena B'Yamdu K'ma Hocha Aser Chen Risi B'Alim Shecholik Ala Magen Avrohom Baruch Zachariash. They didn't have these Svarim, and this is the bottom line, that Mishnah Berurah's opinion is that if he did it for a Jew, then you're out of business. You're not allowed to benefit from it, even though you're paying for it. Okay.
Just time to put that. In England, maybe in America too, you used to pay non-Jews regularly to come into the house and tip light the fire.
There was a guy that had a job to come around lighting for 60 years ago.
Okay, I will just tell you on Yom Tov or on Shabbos.
I think both on Shabbos and Yom Tov, when it was their code to light the fire.
Okay, that's a mufurish halacha. I will just tell you, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that I'm not a rabbi in England because I wouldn't allow it. But it's a mufurish halacha that it's mutter. I'm going to tell you a fact. In Shulchan Aruch it says that everybody's called a choyle for being cold, and therefore you're allowed to have a guy turn on a fire so that you should be warm. Okay? That is an undisputed halacha. Even I don't disagree with undisputed halachas. But I say that halacha doesn't apply. I'm going to tell you something. When I moved into the house that I live in Yerushalayim, we have a Yonkers. You know what a Yonkers is? We have private heating. In other words, what? Yeah, but you could turn it on to whatever temperature when you want it on. And I had, on this issue, I had the typical husband-wife issue. I said the less the better. My wife says the more the better, right? So she explained to me that she's actually saving me money, because if your kids are not going to get sick, so that you're not going to have to go to the doctor. You don't have to then take off of work, and it's cheaper to spend the money on the heating than it is on the bills that come because of it. Okay?
Preventative medicine.
Yeah.
Cheaper than-
Yeah, and besides, you can even benefit because it's a geschmack, because it's warm. And unfortunately, she was right. Okay? Or fortunately, I don't know, whatever you want to say. But now, this is true. My wife was right because we have kids. If we didn't have kids and it's chilly in your house, you know what I would do? Put on a sweater. Right? Kids, if it's not warm, they catch a cold. The sweater idea, an extra blanket, doesn't work. And elderly people, right. And that's why children and elderly people have the din of a choila. Because there are many people who are over 70, if they sleep with the air conditioner on, get sick. You don't know what I'm talking about? Okay. So, and there are people under 60 that can't sleep without an air conditioner, right? So these are different ages, have different needs. Now the halacha is that you're allowed to have a guy turn on the heat if it's going to prevent somebody from being sick.
Most shuls have elderly people.
And not only shuls, but tzorchei rabim. That's also another tzad. But the average homeowner that you're talking about, I doubt that the average person needed it.
In England, it could be cold for weeks on end.
Then the heating is on.
No, but for Shabbos it will be on.
It would be
Fire,
on from beforehand.
The cold, not when they had radiators before them, when they used to have the set.
Okay, they had a.
Coal fire in the room, and you used to sit in the room and be warmed by this.
Okay, all right. So if that again, if the situation is as such, then it's mutter, and if it's not as such, then it's usher. You know, there's not much for me to say on the subject, right? I'm just saying. I will just.
You are warmer with a fire than you are.
I want to tell you that's incorrect, because all those who have fires, they have chimneys, and a lot of cold air comes in from the chimney. If you want to have a fire that's hot, what they used to have here in this country, they had like a kerosene heater that had a thick metal sheet on the top of it that got really roasting hot, and that heated the room. And in the back of it there was a chimney that went out, and there was no outside air that came into the room at all, except for the air that went from the chimney into the furnace, and that heated up much better.
Attack the fire to both the other.
Right. So right, and I'm just saying that these are, but that's the halacha.
But we said about this, when you're in a sweater, your body's warm, but you're still breathing the cold air.
There's nothing wrong with breathing cold air usually.
There's people who get sick.
1 second. That people get sick from air conditioners. How cold is the air we're talking about? If you're talking about the air is 30 degrees Fahrenheit, that's one thing. But if you're talking about the air is 60 degrees Fahrenheit, that's a different thing. So again, you have to know exactly who you're talking about. But anyways, that's the answer to your question.
I don't understand what's the difference between that and what the Rabbi said a few minutes ago.
Because turning on heat, a person's called a choila for that. And you're allowed to have, if you're a choila, you go to the doctor on Shabbos, and the doctor says, you have strep throat. And you went and you asked all the gemachim, and nobody has medicine for you. You come to me. I say you can tell the guy to drive to a place, the pharmacy that's open, to Ramallah, and get you medicine and bring it back. He's allowed to be.
Gas car.
What?
Even in a gas car.
Even in a gas car, right. All right, because you're a choila, you're allowed to have a guy do a malacha. All right? I said Ramallah for a reason. Okay. Okay. Who adin mehevi limkor be'ir sharoi v'yisol adorim boy, de min hastam limkor yisrael heviu. What did he bring the goods for? He bring it to sell to the population. If part of the population is Jews, then you have a problem. If you made up with him, the fisherman, that he should bring you a fish, and he brought you them on Yontif, b'kulo aser. That he did it for his own personal benefit to line his pockets. Therefore it's aser. Okay. Now, so let's just read the halach again. Im yesh b'mino mechuber oy shemachus etzeder aser. Af lemishu ba b'shvil v'lochlo bayom. Aval avar v'nasa lepiv v'lo aser aser lebo. Even if you put it into your mouth, you're not allowed to swallow it. V'afilo letaltalam aser. These foods are muksa. You're not allowed to even be metal to them. V'lo erev mutar b'chdei sheyasu. And at night they're mutar b'chdei sheyasu. V'shnei yom shel golios v'huva b'risha mutar miyad b'lo sheni b'chdei sheyasu, because memonashach. The first day was chol when he did it, or the second day is chol when you got it. Okay. V'yesh machmirim. This is fascinating. V'aso ad motzei yom tov sheni, until the end, and this has to do with two different gesayis which in Nagdami discusses. V'nogin lahachmer imein letzarch yom tov letzarch orchim. B'chagav az nogin lahachmer dasa acherim shelo yivi b'shvilam. Then your mako for the people who didn't bring it for them. V'chein im huva b'yom tov sheni tzarch lahamtim b'motzei yom tov chdei sheyasu. Al b'shnei yom tov shel Rosh Hashanah or beyond the Vasamach l'Shabbos bein lefana bein rachavav who rishon tzach lahamte amatzir Shabbos t'sheni kadei sheyasu, because you have the problem that both days are aser. V'shir kadei sheyasu. This is very important. Hainu kadei sheyelech ha'eni Yehudi la'mokom shaliket v'yigma ha'malacha v'yachzor lekan. This is the global time. V'nestapik lo mechen eviyam shir b'chdei sheyatzim michutz l'tchum. I'll just like to share with you a very important halacha. I believe what I'm saying is 100% true. The thought is for sure true. Whether the reality is true, I think it's true. A person has a pipe burst on Shabbos. Pipe burst on Shabbos. And he calls in a plumber on Shabbos, and the plumber fixes it, and it takes him 2 hours to fix it. He's not allowed to benefit from this plumbing until Shabbos over at 8 o'clock, until 10 o'clock, right? Maybe 10:30, because you have to wait for the guy to come.
He's benefiting for as long as soon as it's not leaking in his kitchen.
That's my word. Then he went and asked the Shaila, and the Rav said, no, you're not allowed to benefit from it, right?
So what does he have to do? He has to open it up again?
No, he has to he has to wait. He can't benefit from it. Okay, that's the halach. Now, let's say a person has a Svarim Shank, and on Shabbos someone took a sefer out and the whole thing fell apart, and he calls a carpenter, and the carpenter fixes it. It takes him 2 hours, and these are two questions I got asked one after the other. So the first guy I said by 10:30 you could use it, and the next guy I tell him by 10:30 in the morning you could use it. Why? Why? The answer is because there are 24-hour plumbers. There are no 24-hour carpenters, right? You have to wait. What? Right, but you can't call a carpenter right. You have to wait till the next day. So the Chdei Sheyasu is real time. That's what we just learned right now.
So somebody actually called the carpenter during Yom Tov Shabbos and then went to the Rav after.
No, I made up the story.
You made up the story. You said these
but
actually
this
happened.
is no. I'm saying if that would happen, that would be the halacha. Baruch Hashem has not happened. Not the first or the second.
So,
Okay.
with our Dunkin' Donuts, it takes them an hour to get a batch in and out from the oven.
Yeah.
That would be the Kadesh Yasu for
Right.
however many things they had.
Right. Okay. But this is the idea. Aber Shnei Tov Shel Shoshana Deloy Shaykh Behu Memona Shach the Kedusha Achasi. It's all Yom Arichta. Or B'Yom Tov Samach LaShabbos. Kikol Shai Yom Tov B'Erev Shabbos. Evian B'Yom Tov. Or B'Yom Rishon. Evian B'Shabbos Shel Fnei Yom Tov. Motzei Shabbos V'Yom Tov V'Shabbos. V'Shir Zet Tzach Lahamtim Asher Yilketu Or Nitzedu Me'alehem After shtei kedushas hey mikol mokom osam izelazeh. Shabbos is a mechin yontif, and yontif is a mechin l'Shabbos. Mishum achona. Then yontif mechin l'Shabbos, lo Shabbos mechin l'yontif. Ukir le'il. Oched emotze Shabbos muter miyad. Lohoy yitzich l'hamtin achar motze Shabbos yontif kadesh yasu. Ve'im lo yamtim v'yochel miyad havi nenem mimelachas Yom Tov. Im lo ish hayamei v'lo b'Yom Tov lo yochel ahenas mehem beheter. Ela im kem evilo b'motze Shabbos. V'chem b'Yom Tov shechalach har Shabbos kadesh yenem b'melacha b'Shabbos. וכשיר שיעשו, הכל אסיף קויה מחבר. כדי שילך ומביאים עקום על ידי רכיבה בסוס, אין צורך להמתיך אלא כדי רכיבה לשום. You don't have to figure out how long it would take if he walked. You could do it however the person brought it. למקום שליקת, היינו אם יודע מאיזה מקום ליטה, והם רחוק או קרוב משרינם בוי. שיעורם רצה לומר, בין החומר דהיינו עם ספק בסך התחום, מחוץ לתחום צורך להמתיך כדי שיהיה מחוץ לתחום. וכן לכולם יודע שהוא ועדה מחוץ לתחום, אלא שאין יודע אם סמוך לתחום או רחוק, אין להחמר, all you have to wait is the share of the tchum.
It goes with the means of travel that the guy actually used, or the normal means of travel to use.
I think that even the normal, I think that a normal means.
I think by Shvis to sell up is the quickest way they could have brought it. You don't have to wait till what they actually do.
Yeah, but the case that we were speaking about, that he took the fast way, right? Okay. When he trapped this animal or caught the fish, he planned to use it himself. Or nafal min ha'ilon me'atzmoi, or nitzad me'atzmoi. Also lochol gam b'yom uletaltaloi. That doesn't help that it wasn't done with intent. Afal mishaloi hubo b'shviloi. Aval erev mutar miyad b'matzeh b'yontif. Afal mishu hubo b'shviloi. Why? Because there was no malacha that was done. Okay. No, he did it for himself.
Right.
So that's not called yid malacha for a Jew. So then you're allowed to benefit from it right away.
It would have to be pretty hard to ascertain it, unless he saw it himself. He's going to ask the guy might say something, might change it.
I mean, I could argue with you, because many times you know exactly your neighbor went fishing, right? And he caught a fish. And he was going to make it, and then he decided he doesn't want it. His mother called him, and he came back, and he said, "You can have the fish, right?" You know. Okay. Okay. Siv Gimel. Afilu safek im nilketu ay nitzedu hayoim asurim. Even if you're not sure, they're still asur. Aval im nikar bahem shaloi nilketu or shaloi nitzedu hayoim mutter. If they're already like kamush, they're already mushy, or something like that. They can already tell they're not they're not fresh. Mishla heavy b'shviloi, it will be mechutz l'tchum muter. After mishu ba b'shviloi. Then Yehudi masiach lefi tumoy shelo nilkad hayoim or nitzad hayoim nemon. Since this is a din derabanan, so if a guy says masiach lefi tumoy, he's nemon. Now, what is called masiach lefi tumoy? This is a very interesting question. Most of the time, what people call Masiach Lefi Tumoy is not Masiach Lefi Tumoy. I'll just leave it like that. All right.
Or if he's just telling you your story, bump into him on the way over from Ireland, and he tells you, you want to see the cool fish I caught it, it's big.
Yeah, there was a whale that was chasing me on my boat. Yeah, right? Okay. Afilu Musafik, Zenami Koya Akum Shalikal Atzmoy. Vein boy ella iser muksa mikam welcome safik iser safik muchon also kemavur with some toes on the hachilo hiska kan amachaber inyan kadesh sheyasu kshilo ein tzach de sheyasu ochen im vade locked on tzalam hayoim barak safik im licht on tzalam b'shel yisrael o b'shel kadesh sheyasu tevamach some mavur b'sin shin chavhei is boy de v'achron sham di yesh lahakel l'tzarech mitzvah oy mavur sham dem hayesh shnei asvekas yachad im nilkatu hayom b'im nilkatu b'shel yisrael B'yoyman asur mafilu vade loy b'shel yisol loktan asur mishum safek muchan. Ella the erev mutar miyad because maybe it was made for the guy. Mishum sveika afilum hayant of erev kigan shnei yom tayv b'shel galos acham b'nochi shevidarn yisol heavy limkor b'yishu b'yisol asur b'nei sheyaso l'chashinan devali lukatu hayam b'shel yisol. Asurim ayin taz ואפילו ביום השני יש לאסור. פרימגודם מחריד אין ליקות יש לאסור משום יש פויסקים שסוברים בכל שהוא מאיסר מינים מחובר דרכון של בני אדם ליקות האיסר ביומון שמביאים, and they have to take on, that's what happened. אבל אין ציידה מותר ביום השני ולא שייך הטעם הנ"ל, דאבי סופק דרבנן. Alright. ואם ניכר בהם שהם פרס כמושים, והוא הדין ידוגם שניקרם שניצלו בערב יום טוב, כגון שנוס לחם ועדו מסתחס לחייהם, שבוית כינוי, so some they have signs that you could tell that they're old, then you're allowed to use them. למי שהובא בשבילוי דקיימנון, דבר מחוץ לתחום בשביל ישראל זה, מותר לישראל אחר אפילו בו ביום. Okay, נוחי ומעשיך לפי תמוי ותלם לפי שאינו משביח דברו ואדרבה מגריה. If I say that I caught it yesterday, you're not making your product fresh, you're making your product old. כי יש לטוב ניצולים לקוטם היום, ומרי שאינה נוחי יודע שעשו יסול מה שנוקו וניצל היום, דילאו אוכי אמין דמסחב ומשביח מקחוי. So here we have a case where a guy says it, מעשיך לפי תמוי, and we don't believe him because the news is out. Okay. אפילו מעקו מביא ביום טוב אחר שבס, יסיך ביתומה שנוקו בערב שבס, בערב שבס שביום שנה, מעשיך בתפילה שנוקו בערב שנה, גם כן נמון, even if it's on Shabbos. מי אם היה פר שאין יכולים חיים מביאים ביום טוב, לאחר שבס, או שביום בשבס, והוא מעשיך ביתומה שנוקו בערב שבס, עשו לא יכול ביום טוב, תדומה נקדו בשבס. ויש בו איסר דרייסה, לא עשה איזה פויסקים, ואינו נמון, מעשיך ביתומה, באיסר דרייסה. Okay. All right, Sif Hey. Dover she'ein b'minoi b'mechuber, ve'eino mechuser tzeda. Something that in order to get it, you don't have to do a malacha.
Dollar?
Oh, what?
Dollar starts on the previous page.
Oh, we did dollar. Yeah. Dover she'ein b'minoi b'mechuber, ve'eino mechuser tzeda, ba mitoch hatchum muter lakol. ואם בא מחוץ לתחום, אסור לאכול למי שהובה בשבילוי ולאכול בעיסוי. אבל מותר לטלטלו בסך 4 אמות, או בסך העיר, בקופת חמה, או מבצור שידע שהוא קוף לדירה. You're allowed to carry them, ואחרים מותרם אף לא אוכלם. ולערב צורך להמתין למי שבשבילו בכדי שיעשו. Okay, this is a Hachana issue, but there is no...
Why can't you, if you can carry it for 4 hours, why can't you eat it for 4 hours?
Because it's not muksa, but it's the Isser Mukhan doesn't let you eat it. The reason why you can't eat it is not because of muksa, it's because it's not mukhan. Okay. ומותר אחר אפילו לדון שנוגע מהחלה בשאר דבורם כמו שהסביר. Okay. All right. עיר שרובם אינם יהודים. Vov. If you have a city that most of the people are goyim, מן הסתם Kol ha-mevi l'tzorach haroiv mevi'o. You assume that it was brought for the general population, which are goyim. Mechza mechza, o shedu shalika l'tzorach shnehem, osir. But if you know, then it's osir. Okay, this is a important thing.
What does that mean, shalika l'tzorach shnehem?
That you know you have both people, and I'm bringing for all of them.
That's a general store. You're bringing for all the stuff.
Yeah.
No. The general store, I'm bringing for all my customers, I will assume that my customers will be the roiv.
If most people are non-Jews, that's...
Yeah, but he's getting enough for everyone, even if it's...
No, he's not getting one per person. He's getting more
No,
than
but he knows that normally he sells this much. That's how much he's getting.
But most people
That's
buy
including
non-Jews.
everyone.
If he knows that they're going to be Jews buying, then he brought it for Jews, and that's usher. When a person is, let's say you live in Manhattan, okay? Most people in Manhattan are goyim, okay? Now there are Jews there. When you're going to buy a product, you're buying it that you're buying it for the rove. No, it's who may buy it. Maybe you will buy it, but you're not counting on that. That's not what you're doing it for. Okay, even though you know that Jews may buy it.
No, it's 60% coin, 40% Jews. It's a significant percentage that you're buying for Jews. It's not a town where you have two Jews with 200,000 others.
I'm not sure that I agree with your assessment. No, it's not a question of whether a Jew will buy it. If I could say that he's buying it for the majority of the people, then that's what he's doing. If I know that he's buying it for the Jews also, then it's usher.
Even though they're immediate.
It's a bit of both.
Yeah. What?
He knows that he's buying it for Jews because the Jews inevitably going to come and buy because 40% are Jews. So for sure, Jews going to come and buy. So when he buys, he knows he's buying it for non-Jews.
He doesn't know that he's buying it for whoever's going to buy it.
But
And
he knows that some of the
there's a chance.
Right.
That there's a chance. Some of these products, will for sure, he puts up potato chips on the shelf. He knows 4 bags are going to go to Jews, and the rest is going to go to blacks. But he
That's
knows-
usher.
Okay. That's
Or-
when
or if he
when he
gets-
puts out his products, he knows Jews are going to buy
Or
it.
people like gefilte fish.
Well, fish is pretty Jewish.
So she has a carrot on it. Okay. All right. This is the. In general, you buy it for the majority, right? That doesn't mean that you don't know that the meat are going to be buying it.
If you're doing it for both.
Now-
So even if
nowadays
you have a
they
strong
know.
40% of
Nowadays
Jews,
they know it.
you know
They know.
a large
Oh, sheyadir shalika l'tzarich shneim aser. If you know, right? So if you're telling me that because of the statistic I know, then it's aser. All right. I would just say, if you go to the amusement park in America, there are Jews that go to amusement parks, and there are potato chips there. Okay, when they buy it on a regular day, forget about Chol Hamoed. Who's going to buy it? Okay. Does that mean Jews aren't going to buy it? No, Jews will buy it, but they're buying it for the majority. Right? They know that Jews may buy it, and probably every day there will be one that's bought by a Jew. Right? That case is mutter.
Right.
In
One
the
bought
Jewish
by a Jew
area,
every
when the
single
customs
day.
are Jewish, then it's a different story.
Right.
When the guy lays out his products, if he knows that some Jews will buy the products that I'm laying out, then he has them in mind.
Okay. Yisol sheshigador lechaver al yedei eni Yehudi me'erev Yom Tov, v'nis'akev eni Yehudi ve'aviam b'Yom Tov v'chutz l'tchum, mutter afil mi shehuva b'shil lachom. He brought it for a Jew, but he sent it through a guy. It's mutter. Why? Because we can assume that the Jew didn't do any iser. I will also l'chol yisol l'taltalam chutz la'arba amos. Here's the opposite case, right? You're allowed to eat it, but you're not allowed to metaltal it. Or chutz le'ir b'kov v'schaba, or chutz le'mivtzor, shedil shugov l'dira. V'davka shayadaito me'esmol, the less by iser muksa. He knew that it could be coming, and there's no iser muksa. Aval lo hayalav daito me'esmol. Avagav, the less leit chumim, also mishum muksa, because you didn't have in mind to eat such a thing. The kol shal yisol tzach hachanim ibod yom. Anything which belongs to a Jew, you have to have a chanim ibod. Afilu mishu v'bishviloi aser, because he didn't have it in mind. Okay.
So it's applied to like deliveries, mail deliveries, or things like that. You order from Amazon, some cereal. It comes on Shabbos, or you have to use it.
I would just say, if you ordered from Amazon cereal, it probably was in the tchum on.
Probably was.
Yeah, I would imagine so. That's okay.
But you still drove it.
Yeah.
To your house specifically.
Okay. Is it Erev?
Did he drive it within the area?
No. It's he is going to many places, right?
Right.
So to say that he drove especially to you, I don't know if that's true. This
I live in a private house.
Take a look at it.
He's stopping by your house.
Yeah.
Okay, but the stopping by itself, that the Poskim aren't so concerned about. Take a look, maybe if you remind me next week, I'll bring in the chuvas written on the subject of special delivery and next day deliveries. There's a whole bunch
I
of...
wasn't really going into those, because then you know what's coming in Shabbos.
And still there are those who are makel. Okay? All right.
Even it says delivered on Saturday or whatever.
Can I ask you a question? when is there a malacha being done?
Well, the whole process.
No,
The drive, walking from his car to my house.
that's okay. That's inside of Erev.
Israel.
In Brooklyn, I don't know if that guy is.
Okay,
I don't
whatever.
know if the guy is Chassidish guy or Litvish guy. I don't know what kind of guy you have.
He doesn't hold like the Arab.
He doesn't carry a string.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that this is a well discussed issue. This question. Okay. Okay. Mutter l'shlach lechaver b'yom tov behema chayim v'oif afilu chayim v'yedas v'shvarim v'solas v'kitnias aval lo yitfua lefi shemechuseres tchina v'imolocha asur b'yom tov. You could send ready-made foods. Okay. V'hanu dar v'afilu derech reshus harabim the kibul shech chaver lohenes mehem kigoyin shesholech ma'mini eichel v'keilu v'gadim. You could send it to him. If you want to shech them, you could shech them. So therefore, you're allowed to send him all of these things. Right. When I say kiddush, when I say erev chatzer, erev tafshilin, I say to shecht because I can shecht. Okay. I haven't had anybody ever ask me on Yontif to do that.
Last time the Rav Shechta on Yontif.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in many, many years. Okay. Okay. Now here's an important Mishnah Berurah. Behema chayvov l'fi dasa mechaber le'il the oiser muksa b'yomtiv mari hachva behema she'enu omedes legadol v'lodos v'chein oiv stomi the ilu behema omedes legadol v'lodos that you have over here a animal which is used to raise other things because if it's not slated to be food, so then it's muksa, it's mechusar tzeda. You could use them even on that day. Theoretically, you could use make roasted nuts out of the chitim. And tchina is asar Shabbos, but chosel l'tzarchol mechzik misasik b'yom tov l'tzarchol v'asar. U'mitam is achon the asar l'shlech afilu b'makom sheish erev because you're using it for non-yom tov purposes. L'fisha b'chuser tzeidim. Af agav this oren chazi l'behema b'li tchina. If you have barley, animals eat it without tchina, and you're allowed to feed them on Yom Tov. Because Malcolm Rubim on this tchina, Michael Adam Ochem and Chaver Tzarch Hayem Litin Tfula Behemtoi, Botel Shach Malcolm Sheisherev. But if you, that's what you're getting them for, is to use them as animal food, then you're allowed to do them. Kadesh Shileb Shom Isser Atzad Shom Behema also Lahitzi, and therefore you have to have an eruv. Okay. All right. Let's do the next one. Called over Shemotel Shach B'Yom Tov. Lo yishalchenu b'shur d'hayin shlosh b'yadu v'yoser zeh achazeh shenoisin l'kula min echad avol im kol echad noisin min acher muter the asher milsa v'nir k'molich halemcha b'shuk. And this is an important halacha. Afil dech mavoi hamureves it's also zeh achazeh la'afuk yishu b'vuvia d'loi mikri k'shura. Okay, and this is a halacha that you're not allowed to do something which looks like you're involved in enterprise. Okay. Meshalchim kelim afapi she'enam tfurim shehem ru'iyim l'ishon alev. You could use them as pillows. Va'afilo yesh b'hem kilayim imhem koshin u'meshalchim tefillin kiven sheru'iyim la'nicham b'chol chol kayetzu afil derech sharav mutar l'shleichon. All these things you could send. Imhem koshin the mutar l'ishon alav kamo shekasav yeredeya. Meshalchim tefillin ratzalayim kishehem tfurim v'sukanim kol tzarkom she'nuliyos noes. They don't need it for chol. That's called simchas yontif, the fact that you're getting a present. Mutter l'shachol heavy b'shem ha'shami den l'shlech tashitin shel zav b'yom tov afilu b'shel kesef b'gamger our b'shita mekubetzes hiskimu the mutter l'shlech tashitin kiven shuyin l'slabesh b'hem. You could wear them, and that's mutter to do on Yom Tov. Okay. stop over here.